Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another weekend of Speak Your Mind, another session. So tonight, hopefully, guys, we'll have a really good interactive show. Tonight, I'm all alone, so I want you guys to get ready, strap into your seat, your bed, wherever you watch this show, and get ready to engage. Of course, when I'm here by myself, I like to engage. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from the people next to you. I want to hear what's going on in the community. And I know you guys have a lot of things on your mind. There's been a lot going on in the news in the BVI. And many of you are, holding your corners and saying, Lord, look what's happening. Look what's going on in the BVI. Why is this happening? And other people are a bit lost. And so when you call, other people hear what you have to say, and it helps them to think and reason clearly. So that's the whole focus, I believe, sometimes of this show, is to help people to express themselves, give people a platform where they can express themselves, and hopefully that we can have better change in the BVI. So take a few seconds, call who you need to call, let them know your Speak Your Mind show is on. We're here early tonight. We're going to go for a whole 2 hours. The phone line's going to be open immediately as soon as I say after our first break. I want to hear from you guys, or again, I want to engage. So I'm going to do a little piece again tonight, since I'm here by myself. Of course, you know me, I got to do my little piece. I'm going to put a little spin on something. And it's been something that's been bothering me in the BVI. And I think it's bothering a lot of people too. I see a lot of you every time we have these conversations, especially folks who have a vested interest in the BVI. And I'm talking about people who love this country. And it don't matter where you're from. It don't matter if you're born here or you weren't born here. And I hear, and I sit down and I listen to the conversation, and I'm engaged in those conversations because people always want to talk to me. It seems like I'm the guy to go to and say what everybody else wants to say. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to engage you. I'm going to encourage you to speak up and say what's bothering you. Just look around. Everybody and anybody now is challenging the system. And you have to challenge the system if you want change, and if you want change for the better. So I hope everybody's tuned in. I have a few texts. I'm going to read those texts in a minute. The phone lines are open after the first break, which is the next 10-15 minutes. But I'm going to do a little commentary. I like doing commentaries because I think it gives people something to think about. The last time I did a commentary, I did something I thought I was very specific on this show. Of course, the show is taped, and it's recorded. It's on the website. You can go on the website, jtvlive.net. Of course, you can tell your friends we're live streaming now as well. But you can go on this show anytime. If you hear people say, oh, Henry said something, and that guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I wonder, did he really say that? No. Go on the show. Look at what I said, and then go from there and have a sensible, intelligent conversation. So the last time I said, to sum everything up, I said that the BVI, yes, is progressing, with or without folks from the Caribbean, people from Europe, or wherever. But my focus was to help my Caribbean brothers and sisters, the newcomers, not the people who've been here 30 and 40 years, who have built a life in the BVI, who love the BVI, who believe that this is their home, and no matter what you say or do, you can't change their mind. Not those people I was talking to. I was talking about newcomers, people who are coming, and their whole purpose of getting here is economics, to make money, to take care of themselves and take care of their families back home. There's nothing wrong with that, Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But my focus was that as long as you're in the BVI, you should put a focus and an emphasis on building the BVI while you gain from the BVI. That was my focus. I never said anything of what was being reported in the news and all this foolish back and forth argument against each other. We don't need to argue. As Caribbean brothers and sisters, we don't need to fight one another, you know. What we need to do is learn how to work with one another, how to help one another. And again, if you're in the BVI, what else you going to do but help build the BVI? If you don't build the BVI and you break it down, how are you going to benefit? That's the bottom line. So when you hear people arguing these senseless arguments, ask them, hold on a second. Are you a nation builder or you're a nation destroyer? And if you're a nation destroyer, leave, because others going to help build it regardless. Now, that's the essence of my little piece tonight. You know, I want to talk about something that I've been reading in the paper. There's a gentleman that walks around town. And I'm going to call his name because he's in the paper. He writes the stuff. His name is Dixon. I find him to be a very intelligent man. Let me make that clear. I find him to be a very intelligent man. I think he's smart. I understand some of the things that he writes. You know, he used some of these words that you have to, when you're reading, you have to stop and go read, look in the dictionary, see what this word means, how it fits into the context of what he's saying. But when you finish and you break it down, a lot of what he's saying makes sense. But of course, like anything else, no matter how great it's written, sometimes you might have a disagreement. Sometimes you might see things differently. But one thing that I don't agree with him with is that every single time he writes something, he talks about the BVI, the only way to progress is to embrace globalism. Now I'm asking you, take out your dictionary. If you're in front of a computer, research the word while we have in this show, globalization. What does it mean? How does it really help the rest of the world? Developing countries, poor countries. Ask yourself, look at all the countries that are embracing globalization. Are they more prosperous before, or are they less prosperous? Now, I don't believe in globalization. I think globalization is another way that world governments from around the world, through the IMF and the World Bank, manipulates countries such as the BVI, or smaller countries or poor countries that ain't doing so good. Because when you think about it, the World Bank was designed to help poor countries eradicate poverty. It's supposed to help them with technology, bring them into the new age and share best practices. It's supposed to help them to understand the global picture when it comes to investment. It's supposed to give you good information on employment and migration issues, so you can help yourself become a much stronger nation, a better nation, but a nation that's prosperous for its people. No, that leads me to this. I look at the BVI, and when I look around the BVI, nothing makes me more happy to see BVI Islanders. And when I say BVI Islanders, ladies and gentlemen, let me break it down, because people like to twist words. BVI Islanders for me is anybody who holds the BVI to be their home. Whether you're born here or you came here years ago, you went through the process, you're now part of the BVI. I don't care where you're born, where you're from. BVI Islanders to me are the people who hold this country dear at their heart. And they believe in protecting it. They live for this country. They want to see the best for this country. And they have prospered from the system and the development of this country. That's who I'm speaking to tonight. So, Mr. Newspaper people, when you twist the words, twist it carefully. So, I look at the development of the British Virgin Islands. Now, I'm no historian, but I try to do enough reading, and every day there's something new to learn. I look at people who work hard to bring the BVI out of the mentality that we had, depending on others. You look at all these little things that went into place, the American dollars that became the legal tender in the 1950s, the fact that we move away from the Federation in the Caribbean. I think it was between St. Kitts and Antigua and those places. You can correct me on some of those. You look at the relationship that we developed and built with the U.S. Virgin Islands, the trade. We used to do a lot of trading. in. You look at some of the laws. These guys fought for the Legislative Council legislation back in the 1950s. I don't know if a lot of you knew, in the 1900, England has suspended our legislature. We didn't have that, and these guys fought hard for that because they understand, autonomy. They fought for more autonomy. They petitioned England to have us to have our own governor. All of those things, and it wasn't just people who were born in the BVI. It was people who came to the BVI who stood side by side with the born BVI land and say, these are the best steps for us to take as a country. Now, move forward to the 80s. You look at the financial services came into play. And this is the focus of my piece tonight. The financial services came into play because a few people in the BVI decided that the world is a global world. It's a global village. And we at some point can be a part of that. And nobody is saying that that you're not part of that. We are part of that. And we have to do whatever we could do to minimize the impact of that hurting the BVI. So they did certain things. And financial services now for the BVI is one of the most profitable things we can get engaged in. It's a worldwide stage. We know that. You have to accept certain changes from other places in order to continue to be a player in the game. Everybody knows that. But the point is this, is that when you build something, you build it in such a way that you make sure that you yourself, who's building the business or the idea, are protected. The laws are designed to help protect you as you do business internationally. So therefore, it's the people, it's the government, it's the system, all working together to help BVI landers become more prosperous. Now, I made a statement. I said, the gentleman, he's a smart guy. He writes pieces in BVI News. It's online. Go research it. I tried to pull up the ad today, the several pieces that he wrote. For some reason, the site was down because I really wanted to read per word what he said. But the last piece he wrote, he said, point blank, if the BVI were to move forward, we must embrace globalization. Now, I firmly disagree. And I know a lot of you are going to disagree because the bottom line is when you look at what's been happening in the BVI for the past 10 years, there's been an assault on BVI landers being successful in this country in the form of globalization. And when I say that, I mean when you look at, we have companies in this country that can do work and build things for ourselves, but yet we outsource and we give away that natural resource to somebody else. That's globalization. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. What we're supposed to be doing is we're supposed to build the water tank. We're supposed to build the pipes to the water. We're supposed to set up our own drilling holes. And then when it comes to a point where we need finance to take our business from here and reach across to another territory and help them with the idea, then we use the form of globalization to help us get there. But not opening up your doors and telling us that the only way we could build a cruise ship dock or an airport or we have to embrace somebody else's money and idea. That's the only way we can move forward. No, there's ways you could get around that. You don't have to give them the structure to build. You could build the structure yourself. You don't have to give them the land. Keep the land. Don't sell the land. Lease the land. And when you lease it, make sure you're getting money for it. So the bottom line is, folks, is that the success of the BVI came from people within the BVI who loved the BVI, who did what they needed to do to move the BVI forward. Not somebody else from somewhere else. So many of you should be insulting. You should be appalled when people keep writing these kind of things about the only way we can move forward is to embrace globalization. You got to ask yourself, who are they working for? Are they a BVI lander that have any interest in the BVI? Did they own anything in the BVI? Did they own any business in the BVI? Or are they embracing the BVI and have a love for the BVI? Or are they envious of the BVI success and decides that people in the BVI and trying to minimize and marginalize the people in the BVI and try to make us look like we are so protectionism that we don't want anybody else in here? That's false. That's foolish thinking and foolish writing. And people should be upset. And I know many of you that own your properties, you own your businesses, you own your structures. You know what you did and what you have done in the past to get to that level. And I don't think that any of you going to agree that you need to give away your thing to somebody else to help you move to a place where you already are. You're already successful. You already successful. Look around the BVI and look around the rest of the Caribbean. 80% of what's in the BVI is owned by between the government and the people of this territory. You can't say that for no other Caribbean country, my friends. I'm sorry, if I'm wrong, correct me. Show me one country in the Caribbean where you could say honestly that the majority of the people them own, operate, control their destiny. No, don't let nobody fool you. Globalization, the World Bank, the IMF, those are organizations. Take the World Bank again. The World Bank consists of many countries, heads of states, government agencies that pool funds into the so-called World Bank. That money is, ideally is supposed to help people, poor countries, eradicate poverty. You look at all the countries that are supposed to be helping. Africa, you look at most Asian country, are better off than African countries. Look at Africa right now. China's invading Africa. China, we talk about China, controlling natural resources and doing things for Africans, but yet you can't go in China and do business as usual because Chinese control your intellectual rights. They control a lot of your business activities. They'll do the business for you, but they also understand and control it, and then they turn around and manufacture the same things that you're supposed to own and only you're supposed to own. So when people talk about, we're a protectionist country, name one country in the world that is not a protectionist country. The big bad America is a protectionist country. They protect all their things. China protects their things. France protects their things. England protects themselves. Brazil protects themselves. All the large emerging economies in the world have some form of protectionism in place. Sure, they might be embracing, shared information, best practices, and all those stuff. But the bottom line is whatever's making them successful, their natural resources, they're not giving it away just like that. No. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my little piece. I don't want to put no more spin on it because, again, people, we have some creative writers in this country, and I embrace all of them. I like when they get creative. I don't mind. But just be real and be honest. And if you're going to write about what I say, at least advise and encourage people to go on the website, jtvlive.net, and listen for themselves, because we realize that nights like tonight a lot of people are out and people are doing different things, so not everybody is able to hear up front what I said and how I said. So therefore, when the reporters and the writers write, they might only take the piece that could stimulate interest in their newspaper and in their forum. So again, straight across the board, globalization is bad. Minimize it whenever possible. Stop it at the front door whenever possible. Whenever possible, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying you will be able to avoid it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that we need to find ways to develop this country by BVI Islanders, people who love this country. And again, BVI Islanders are people who love the BVI, who call the BVI home, whether you're born here or born somewhere else. That's who I consider a BVI Islander. A person who loves this country, who embraces this country, who looks for his or her rights within the country, who are nation builders. If you're a nation builder and you're building this nation, you're protecting this nation, that's who I consider BVI Islander. So, folks, we're going to take a break. Again, I'm here by myself, so I want to engage you guys. I see the phone ringing already, but I can't answer till after the break. So keep calling and send your text and let us know what you think. Again, there's a lot of stuff on the horizon. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Yo, you ain't checking for me no more, man. What going on?
Girl, you're right, man. Things rough right now and ain't getting no better. I gotta cut back how things so expensive.
Wait, you ain't hear Digicel giving away some serious credit? With Digicel, when you top up by $15, you will get $100 free credit. I mean, that's 100 anytime Digicel minutes, free chat all weekend long to your Digicel friends, and unlimited text to any network.
Wow! Now with Digicel, I can save and we can party some more.
Party Rock is in the house tonight.
Your credit lasts longer with Digicel. Now that's something worth partying about.
All right, so welcome back, guys. So tonight I realized tonight is going to be a bit of a challenge, getting the attention of our regular watchers, because we know there's so many different things going on in the territory. There's about 10 to 15 different things throughout the territory now to be involved in, including Speak Your Mind. So we do realize that. I hope whatever you're doing tonight, you know, some of you are going to review this on Tuesday and say, man, I missed a really great show. But whatever you're doing tonight, I hope that we do it safe. We do it with love and respect for each other. Of course, you have the lighting of the Christmas tree on Main Street tonight. We have events going on at Scrub Island. We have the basketball event. I hope some of you were able to get out last night and support that event, because you know, it's a great thing. It's something that the guys trying to do for the BVI, the youths of the BVI who have an interest in moving forward and going to college, you know, at least getting their feet wet, higher education, and then at the same time, for the love of the game, you know, they'll get a chance to play some upper level basketball. So whenever possible, you can get a chance to support things like that. We need to support our youths, them in all aspects. I mean, when they're out there doing things, some of us turn around and we knock them down. But whenever you get a chance to support them in positive things, we should just try to do that. So before we went on the break, of course, we were talking about globalization. I asked a simple question. What do you think about globalization if you understand it clearly? Does it really benefit the BVI? Should we be giving away our natural resources and always thinking that the only way we can move forward is to embrace you know, foreign investment? What about the local investment? Why not try to build a local brand and build up people, put us in position so when we do have to go embrace foreign investment, at least we have the foundation already set, and we own it, we control it, we manipulate it, and we could do whatever we need to do with it, and then share, you know, in the prosperous development. So, you know, that's the question. Tell us what you think. You know, what do you think about globalization? What do you think about, you know, the history of the BVI? People who work really hard, people who came here to work really hard, people who came here and helped the BVI move from the age of, you know, a tent that we used to have as a hospital to where we are now. You know, BVI landers who got in the street and protested and fought for what they thought was, you know, a nasty situation. You know, people couldn't get attention. You know, they fought for the freedom to have more autonomy. They succeeded from, you know, the Federation. We talked about putting the American dollar in play as our own only and main currency in the BVI. All those things, you know, came from people who were smart enough to say, let's do these things because 10, 15, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, it'll put the BVI in a better position. And today it has. You know, despite all that others were saying, you know, some of the bigger territories around the Caribbean were saying, no, you guys are too small, you can't do this on your own. And people defied all those odds and said, no, we could do it. Why not? Put good measures in place, and you should be able to move forward. And we had some bright people. We still got a lot of bright people in this country. We got smart business people. A lot of our people go abroad, they get educated, they come home, they see changes out there, and they try to implement some of those changes that are good in the BVI. And it's always a challenge when you come back to this country, whether you're from here, you move to this country, to bring changes to the country that are positive. Because sometimes, we don't know. We haven't seen it for ourselves, some of us who never travel. So we put this fight up against it, and sometimes those fights are good as well. So in the news this week, we had a few things that I believe that we need to talk about. Some of them are also part of the tech system. I saw a big headline that say police conflict, something going on in the police department. We have some rank and files in the police department are challenging the governor and the governor's position based on the Constitution. They have a constitutional right, and they believe their constitutional right was being violated, and so therefore there's some conflict going on there right now. There might be a pending court case, so that's something to watch. Of course, a lot of people are saying, the police are fighting like that. Who's there? Who's left to protect us? I'm not worried about that, because even within the internal fight, there's always security, so we'll be all right. I like the police. I don't have any problem with the police, despite the fact that sometimes I get caught breaking the law. I don't mind giving up the little money for tickets, because I know the country needs some money. So if that's the only way I could contribute, I'll do it. So police conflict going on in the news. Tell me what you think about that. Of course, we mentioned the basketball game, what is this called? Something Jam going on right now. That's tonight. Started at 8 o'clock. We have some teams from around the U.S., Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, having a shootout. A shootout meaning a basketball shootout. In the news again, we had hospital issues. Hopefully next week we can have Brother Klein on. He'll give us a report on what's happening with the hospital services system, the hospital, when we expect to have that up and running. There's some news there about the hospital funding. The hospital's in situation right now. We need some funds. There's no fund to help move some of the services forward. So we gotta really have that discussion. And again, we're gonna have that live hopefully next week. I'll make contact with him this week to see if it's something that we could do. So the hospital is looking good, though. Hopefully when we can get that up and running, folks won't have to go to St. Thomas, Puerto Rico, Florida to get good care. We can get that good care right here in the BVI. So that's up and coming. Road Town development. I was having some discussion about what's going on in Road Town. Many of you have some good positive views on what's happening in Road Town. Craft Alive. There was a article talking about, it opened up on the 20th. It had a soft opening. Many of the folks who were there before were allowed to get back in there and start selling some money, but the numbers are down, the visitation is down. That's something we're going to talk about in a little bit. What's going on with the visitors, the tourism? Seems like it's not as big as we thought it was be. So, but Craft Alive is open. It's looking good. Beautiful colors. Tourists, the few who've been in there, talk about how nice it look. They like the whole idea of the different colors. It's attractive, it's eye-catching. But we hope that Craft Alive is designed to help promote made here in the BVI. If we could start getting people more involved in made here in the BVI, I think it'll be great. I'd like to see more stuff down there with BVI flags and brand on it that we could proudly say was done here in the BVI. So for the folks who are managing and running Craft Alive, we like to see something going on down there that could represent the BVI. I also think even up at the college, sometimes, the college does a great job at pushing apparels that have the college information on it. But I would like to see some more information or ideas and flags and the islands and stuff printed on shirt. And I think the college could be used, the college bookstore and the store there could be used as a way to help sell a lot more branding stuff for the BVI. We really, really need that. Because I mean, you travel around the world and people come here and they don't have anything that truly identify the BVI. A lot of countries throughout the Caribbean, you can look at their flag and say, that's so and so. You know, we need to get to that point where the BVI can have that recognition, and that only happens the more people wear the stuff, the more people, you know, share it as gifts and so forth, and the more people are able to recognize it from wherever. So again, Craft Alive, we're talking about that. We talk about Road Town development. It's looking good. There's still a lot of work to be done in Road Town. I'd like to see more done on Main Street. I think that we need to move forward with Main Street, getting Main Street cleaned up. We got a lot of brothers around the corner. You know, Mr. Minister, I appeal to you. I mean, you know, you don't need to wait for the cruise ship development to move forward Road Town. You can just drop some money in Road Town. You got some guys there, and it's a simple plan. You know, you phase it in different areas. You clean it up. You fix up the sidewalks. You fix up the side of the roads. You know, you paint the buildings. You know, give them a fresh look. You board off nicely. Wall off some of those areas that are ugly and doesn't look good for the neighborhood. And then you encourage people to move and walk through Road Town, walk to Main Street to help stimulate growth in that area, you know. And then last but not least, you need to provide more security in the area so the people who are doing business on Main Street can feel safe and secure. I don't see why it's taking so long. Cameras, you know, street patrol, neighborhood watch patrol could do the trick. You know, we can identify people that have a higher potential of robbing and breaking into places. We know who people are. Let's start identifying them. You know, so the police need to do more work. You know, there's a lot of internal fighting with the police, but Mr. Police Chief, we gotta get more patrol on Main Street and protecting those businesses over there. So, you know, people are asking for help. And I know the police is strapped, but I think you could do more with the little bit you have. I mean, the government is asking the civil servants to do more with the little bit they have. So the police should be able to do more with the little bit they have. There's a lot of police around the corner with plain clothes. I mean, the budget represents that, so why not put those guys to work? Let's get them out there. Let's you know, figure out what's going on. So those are some of the few texts. Another couple texts we have here. Somebody said FSC conference was great. They said they thought that was a really nice thing to have that. I'm not too versed on what it was all about. I find that, you know, conferences and workshops and things like that coming to the BVI, people should be more aware of it so we can have more knowledge on the discipline of the business. And that way, when people ask us what's going on, we can share that information with clear knowledge. It's so hard sometimes to understand what's happening in the BVI. Everything seems like some secret. Everything is a secret here in the BVI. I mean, you have such a huge conference. Financial services is the #1 revenue generating business in the BVI, and yet you have such a large event going on in the BVI, and people don't even understand it. We don't even know. All you know is there's a bunch of people in the island. They all work in financial services around the Caribbean, around the world. I've heard that we had some leading people from the IMF, the World Bank. Those are significant things for the BVI. We want to know about these things. We want to know exactly what's going on. What was the outcome of these things? How does it help the BVI move forward? How can the people of the BVI, true knowledge, true understanding, help sell the concept of what it is was taking place? So although yes, it was great in what sense? What did we accomplish? What was the aim? What was the goal of the conference? Tell us what's going on. This one relates to what I was saying earlier. We need to build a BVI. I couldn't agree more. I think that we are really at a crossroad now in the BVI. You know, people at the BVI, I'm talking to BVI landers, and again, BVI landers are people who love this country, whether you're born here or not. You have interest in the BVI, you have, you know, your life built here in the BVI. We need to stop for a second and think about what we can do collectively, how we can build a BVI together, and how we can protect ourselves from, you know, what do you call them, the organizations that only have one thing in mind, and that's manipulating and controlling all of our natural resources. We don't have to give away our natural resources. So building the BVI means that we have to stop fighting among one another. We could fight, to me, we could fight when we are here locally and we're trying to decide who should get this and who should get that. But when it comes to national agenda, when it comes to national treasures, when it comes to developing and protecting our natural resources, that's when we're supposed to come together collectively. We're not supposed to be fighting and dividing one another and trying to give away our natural resources in our future, in our kids' future, and the grandkids' future, just because we don't want to see Sam get it. We don't want to see Sam succeed in that. So we give it away to somebody else, and then we go behind the scene and we farm these companies where we think that down the road we're going to get piece of it. And then down the road you lose, because as they become more settled, whoever they are, the investors, become more settled in the system and they understand the loopholes, they start using those loopholes against you. So in the end you're going to lose. So if you don't protect each other, we don't help one another, we don't build together, we're going to lose. And the divide and conquer mentality is a big mentality that's used by major systems around the world. And again, I talked about the World Bank. The World Bank, when I do homework and research on the World Bank, I still can't understand exactly what's really good about the World Bank. You think about it. China is their own World Bank. You think about the World Bank of all these other countries pooling funds, and those funds are directed to different investment and development. And you look at China and look at what they're doing. They're manipulating the world. They are their own World Bank. And nobody in the world have more protectionism laws in place than China. Nobody. I mean, every single thing. You hear everybody running, going to China because the labor is cheap. You can get more production out of it. In the end, you end up losing, because whatever little business you have there, they're going to take it over. And somebody going to pirate that business. And you're going to end up losing. So it's always best sometimes to take care of your own. Treat people right, pay people fair wages, let them live properly, and then in the end you still make money, you still become rich, you still live a good life, but you control, you have management of your own asset, and you're not giving it away. So yeah, we need to build a BVI, and I'm all for building the BVI. I don't care who it is, but I'm not for you trying to build a BVI on the backs of others and then the rest of us are staying behind. No, if you're going to build a BVI, you in front, you're the person in charge of making a decision. Make sure the decision involves all of us, not just yourself. It has to involve the majority, so the BVI move forward together. So we need to build a BVI. Stop selling out. Same kind of text. Person says stop selling out the BVI. People who are selling out the BVI know who they are. I mean, you don't have to look far anymore. Just look around. Again, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what side of government you're on, what government you're in. It doesn't matter. If you're selling, you're selling. If you're giving things away that BVI Landers should own and operate, you're selling out. Period. As long as there's a chance for us to do it ourselves, we should be doing it ourselves. That's the bottom line, and that's what people are saying. Stop selling out. You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't want to elaborate anymore on that. I mean, I think that's straightforward. It's simple. It's understanding. Stop selling out the BVI. We can't afford that anymore. Water problems. We need a water problem fix. People still having problems with water, despite all this fight we've been having for years and years and years. People in Puzzle, people on top the hill in Bellevue, still having water problems. Why? Still having water problems. The last government put a bunch of money in the Bargains Bay plant. So we shouldn't be having any issues with water. We got big reservoirs up on top the hill. We have boil water in the country. Why are we still having all this water problem? Somebody need to explain that. Why are we still having water problem? We need to fix the water problem. That's what this text say. Call water and sewage. Call them every day, 3-4 times a day. flood their phones and call the minister who's responsible for water in this country and ask him why we're having such a major problem with water. I heard stories about people can't take showers, or you gotta go get bottles now like we did back in the old days and fill those bottles up, and you got basin, you got to fill up the basin to take a shower, take a little bathe. That doesn't make any sense. Why are we still going through this today? Why? It doesn't make any sense. So, government minister responsible for water, we need a water fix. Absolutely. I think it's ridiculous that we're sitting here today still talking about water when we should have had this amazing system in place. We give away the operation to everybody else that we thought could help us, and now we still have a major problem. And then people are being billed for water they're not receiving. I mean, all of those things are just crazy. Let me get to the phone real quick. You want to speak your mind? Go ahead, please.
Next time, how are you doing?
I'm good, and how are you?
I'm fine. I hear you talking about globalization.
Talk to me.
I think the word should be liberalization, I think when Mr. Igwe talk, he should speak about liberalizing the people. That's how I feel about it.
Now, when you say liberalizing the people, you're talking about locally helping people to be more advanced.
Yeah, and set the people free. You're working in an establishment for a number of years. You should be able to get your own place. Go there and build your own business. Offer all the experience and training again. Go out there and be your own boss.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, but that comes with a price, and you need good guidance, you need help, you need financing, and that's some of the struggles we're having right now.
Yeah, we need factories. We need factories here in the BVI.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
But I listen to you talking. They're talking about paying. I don't mind paying tickets if I have to inject money in the economy in that way. You gotta be careful when you talk. If a criminal hear you talk, they'll be like, okay, I go stick up a man, and if they carry me court and tell me pay 150, I gonna do it again to pay 150. You gotta be careful when you begin.
Trust me, you ain't gonna go stick up nobody and then end up getting caught to go pay 150.
I mean, if a criminal hear you speak, they're gonna be like, if family mind paying a fine, me mind paying a fine all the time then.
Yeah, well, I also said I support the police, and sometimes I break a little traffic laws. That's what I was really referring to. I don't mind paying a little $75 sometimes because, I break in the law. If that's the consequence of breaking the law. But I don't encourage nobody to go out and break the law. I think that's another problem, that's another text that I'm going to address in a minute. The crime situation in the country. It's a serious problem. It's hampering the growth of this country. We can't afford that anymore.
Yeah, and I hear you speak about the vendors in the craft for life, and I feel so too about having local grassroots indigenous products in there. Right now I even take plastic bag and I make dolls out of them.
You made those shoes for me too. They're good.
Yeah,
they're real good. Did you get a spot in the craft for life thing?
Well, they called me and I put in for one. I put in for one. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we'll see what the government really interested in, whether it's they own or just bringing things here and selling them.
Yeah. Well, I also saw something in the news that say government or the people at the Craft for Life Centers anxious to see Tent City gone. How you feel about Tent City gone?
I think that it's good that it's gone, because if they said they look from up in a boat and see down there and it didn't look too right, then at least when the tourists them come in, they're going to see, a more nicer view of the BVI.